What's up, guys, and welcome back to an episode of The Life of Pi with me, your host, P. Young. If you're new to the show, welcome. If you're not new and you're coming back, thank you again and welcome. For those of you who are new, this is a podcast on movies and television. And right now, we are talking about What We Do in the Shadows. It's based off a movie from, I think, like 10, 11 years ago. So basically, right now, I'm covering Season 4. So originally tonight, guys, I was supposed to have a guest on, but unfortunately he is sick, so he wasn't able to join me. So rest up, buddy, and we'll have you on here soon. So tonight I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to cover episodes 4 and 5. So this one's going to be probably closer to 15 to 20 minutes-ish versus like the 12 to 13 range. So we'll probably closer to 20 minutes. So, like I said, we're talking Season 4, Episode 4, and 5. Now, this episode is honestly probably my favorite episode of the entire season. And honestly, arguably my favorite episode of the entire series. I found this one just so damn funny. From like start to finish, it gave me everything I wanted out of the show. And like this show, it's so damn funny. And it's fitting time to do this show. It's about vampires, it's spooky season. And this is a great episode for us to dive into spooky season stuff. So, right off the rip, it starts off, Naja's business, her nightclub, Naja, is doing very well. It's very profitable. Baby Colin Robinson, he is performing every single night and just bringing the house down, bringing in loads of money. Naja's happy, but her workers, the Wraiths, are not happy. And basically the Wraiths, we find out, have been accidentally killing people. 4 of them are human, so it's not a big deal. We see them get lit on fire. Some are slipping in blood and staking themselves. One falls through a trap door or something. And as we know, the Wraiths don't talk. They use like little hand cards, so they don't have faces or mouths. And so basically the guy tells, Naja that like basically the Wraiths are messing up on purpose because of their working conditions. And Naja's telling like, oh, so they're not happy with, having a job in a broom closet to live in. And so basically the Wraiths demand a raise, and Naja basically was like, nah, I'm not doing it. It's not happening. So she goes home and she sees like the house is in disarray, and she goes picks up a book, and then we flip over and we see that Baby Colin Robinson in the background, all this happening with the Wraiths and everything. Baby Colin Robinson is forgetting the steps to his songs, he's forgetting the words, and Lazo's like, what the hell is your problem, boy? And basically we find out that Baby Colin Robinson has become a reader. He's reading a book called Fairy Tales, which is about fairies and gnomes and all kinds of other crazy stuff. So he's very fascinated by this. He's not focusing on what Laszlo wants him to be focusing on. So Laszlo takes his books, says it's full of a bunch of dick skins and a bunch of liars. And so Naja meets up with the Wraith about their list of demands, and again, she tells him, no, you're not getting anything, go back to work. And so we flip over, Laszlo's reading a book at home, a really boring book to Baby Colin Robinson. He's bored, he's like, I want to read one of my books. Naja walks in, talking to herself, bitching, complaining about the Wraiths, and how they don't listen, and basically she puts down a book and says, we're going to the night market. And honestly, when this part happened, I know what to expect from the episode. I'm like, what in the crap is the night market going to be? Normally, the title episode, you kind of get a little bit of a general gist of what's going to happen. So, this one, it was different, but it was fantastic. Because, honestly, most of the episode didn't take place in the house, which I also love. Because most of their episodes take place in the house or barely out of the house. This one, I think, was like 17 to 23, 24 minutes was spent outside the house, which is awesome. And so, as the gang's heading out, Nandor decides to trick Marwa into wanting to stay home because he doesn't want her to go everywhere with him. And he's like, and sometimes you don't want to hang out with your wife, you want to hang out with the boys. So Guillermo goes with them. So you got Nandor, Guillermo, Laszlo, Baby Colin Robinson, Naja, the whole stinking gang is going to the night market. So they get on this train, and of course Guillermo's like, this train just looks like a normal, crappy New York City subway train. And Naja's like, no, I'm telling you, this is the right train. So they're riding around and like, oh, it looks like a bunch of humans. And then like a homeless guy with the speaker's like, hey, you know, my brother's having heart surgery. If anybody can donate, and he starts playing music, and everyone's like humming along. Guillermo's like, oh, this is nice. Guillermo's like, this is great. And then he sticks the microphone in his butt and farts into the microphone, basically clearing out all the humans from the stench and the smell. Basically says next stop is the night market, and his eyes flick. I think he's like a werewolf or something. And of course, people on the train, you see they're monsters of some sorts. In the night market, whoever designed this set did an absolutely phenomenal job. Phenomenal. It had all kinds of just wild and crazy stuff, like all the monsters you wanted. You got like ghouls and zombies, and of course vampires, and fairies and gnomes, Pinocchios, ghouls and goblins. And basically none of them have all have the same currency, kind of like when people go to other countries. We don't have their currency, so there's a currency exchange. And Naja basically tells, you know, the camera crew that basically like sometimes this ends pretty bloody and people die, but that's part of it. So while she's off bartering to try and find this stuff that she's looking for the wraiths, you have like, you get clips flipping over, like Lazo's like, oh man, we're gonna take Baby Colin Robinson over here, we're gonna teach him about fairies. And like, so basically he's like, oh, what about your fairies? He goes, oh, like, yeah, Baby Colin's like, yeah, they're magical, they're amazing. He goes, all right, here's some real ones. Lifts up the dumpster. It's like these like nasty looking beetle things with these huge wings. They're really nasty and ugly looking. He goes, these are fairies. The books are lying to you. And basically these are fairies that are like literally eating garbage and shit out of the dumpster. And so Baby Colin Robinson's like, what the hell? And so, and we flip over, we got Nandor and Guillermo walking around, basically as his body protector and guardian. As we know, he's part of the Van Helsing bloodline. And he's still a familiar, and then Nandor hears there's familiar fights. So after watching one, and like a guy, they have like an announcer doing this. It's freaking hilarious. Because everybody chanting, they're like, rip off his head, rip off his head, rip off his head. And so he pops down, rips off the guy's head, which is freaking hilarious. And basically, Nandor basically says like, oh, my familiar could beat all the other familiars. And basically Guillermo gets shoved into the ring to fight all these other familiars. And of course, he's exerting no effort. And he's winning fight after fight after fight. I think he wins like 3 or 4 fights in like a 4-minute span. And it's flipping back and forth between that. And then you got Laszlo with Baby Colin Robinson. They're sitting there watching stuff. He goes, oh, see that? That's a Pinocchio. Shows a guy with a really long nose. He goes, oh, that's a German nudist. And there's a witch over there. And then those are gnomes. And the gnomes are like frozen lawn gnomes. He goes, you look at them, they freeze, and they run away. So basically, Laszlo is just blowing Colin Robinson's mind with everything that he's seeing. And so finally we flip over, like Naja meets up with some of the Valkyrie, who are very just creepy and stoic, and she barters with them. She trades a vase from Nandor's room for like a couple of meatballs, and she trades a couple of meatballs for a t-shirt that says, if you can read the shirt, the bitch fell off. And then she ends up in Big Ed's Apothecary, I think is what it's called. It basically tells, you know, like the camera crew, like, you know, these things just go, like the market goes on forever and ever. And basically she trades this stupid, t-shirt that you see on, like, just random, like, tourist traps on the roadside and stuff. For this stuff called, like, what's it called? Did I write it down? I forgot to write it down, guys. Oh, it's the Lily of the Nile. It's like this purple vase, and apparently, like, the Wraiths go crazy for it because it helps. They're in so much pain that it helps their pain. And so, basically, we flip back over, and Nandor and Guillermo are like, he's getting ready to fight the huge vampires, and Nandor's like, you know what? I'll fight him instead. So they have this huge long fight scene. They're flipping over cars. Guillermo's throwing stakes. They have a sword fight. He kicks Nandor. Nandor kicks him through a car, throws him through a bus, fakes, and then Nandor ends up fake killing. This fight scene's like 4 minutes long, and it's so damn funny. And the whole time, the announcer guy's yelling, "Kill your friend, kill your friend, kill your friend." And it's freaking, so all the crowd's like, "Kill your friend, kill your friend." So they fake killing Guillermo, to get out of there. And so, back at the nightclub, Naja basically is like, meets up with the head Wraith and was like, "Oh, so here's some of the Valley of the Nile, like it's like a flower that they turn into a liquid." And so, and they trade off and go, you know, "This is what you're going to get, and you're going to tell the Wraiths what to do because you're in charge." And basically, you see all the Wraiths surround the one and eat him. Or her. I didn't really say if it's a he or her. I think it's just a thing, honestly. And so basically, Naja, to end the episode, has to give into the demands of the race. And they're like, "Fine, you get Mondays off paid, and you get a weekend off like every other week or whatever, and more living quarters." And all the Wraiths are happy. And then to end the episode, we have Laszlo reading Baby Colin Robinson just reading him some kind of random book, and then the episode ends. So, on to episode 5. Private School. This is another great episode. Fantastic. Again, this show will it keeps getting better and better and better as the season goes on. So, basically the episode starts off, Baby Colin Robinson. Again, it's episode 5, Private School. We're starting that one now, just so everybody keeps up, if you wanted to pause or whatever. So, Baby Colin Robinson is basically causing chaos in the house. He's a little kid. So those of you guys who have kids or whatever, or you know people who have kids, you understand this. They're all sleeping during the day, but he's up just causing an absolute ruckus. Like, he's like stealing like a knight's helmet and ramming it into Nandor's coffin so he's not sleeping. He's lighting toy boxes on fire, smashing on the piano, blasting music, puncturing holes in the wall with his hammer in the basement, and like all while the vampires are giving their little monologue, you see Guillermo chasing him around. They keep calling him Gizmo because Laszlo never bothers to learn his freaking name, which is still just so damn funny. And then Baby Colin Robinson like charges at the camera with the sword, and then it goes into the credits. So basically, Guillermo suggests, like, let's put him in school. He needs to be educated. He needs to learn. It'll get him out of the house. So they're not all for it at first. They're like, you know what? Maybe this is a good thing. Get him out of the house for a while. And then we get our first glimpse at Nandor, whose face looks a little pulled back, a little distorted, looks like a little plastic surgery or something. Pretty funny. And so he's like, yeah, let's get him out of the house. You know, it's cool. Like, get him out of here. And so basically, Sean, the neighbor, shows up like 5 or 6 minutes later while they're arguing, and is bringing Baby Colin Robinson in, kicking and screaming because he found him trying to punch holes in his garage door with a pinhead hammer. So basically, the hammer thing stays throughout the entire series, which I love. Him is just his weapon of choice is a hammer. He loves hitting holes in walls with hammers. So it's a great choice of weapon. So after that, we discover like Sean knows like they decide that he should go to private school instead of public school. You know, private school he can be well educated, get him out of the house long, maybe send him away like a boarding school. And so we find out Sean, the neighbor, knows a headmaster of a school. So Sean, the neighbor, gets the headmaster to stop by. Well, like, lines up so he stops by with him. And so while this is going on, while they're waiting on the headmaster to show up, Guillermo is like telling the vampires like this, like trying to tell them like, you're humans, dress very human, act very human, be as unvampiristic as possible. And he walks into the meeting room and instantly is mortified because he finds like Nandor's face is even more jacked up than it was before. His mouth all jacked up, like eyes are pinned back and half closed. And basically he's dressed like Jim Carrey in The Mask, if you've seen that, the yellow suit. It's basically what it looks like, this big old top hat with the feather out the side, like a little zoot suit. Naja's dressed like a mom out of like an 80s sitcom, and then Laszlo just kind of threw on something like a hoodie and some sweatpants, and I don't know what else. It's ridiculous. And he's just like, oh my god, you guys, go change again. He's gonna be here any minute. And so the headmaster shows up. They introduce each other. Baby Colin Robinson gives his little speech they told him to prepare. He's wearing a tuxedo. And basically the first question that he asks him throws off everybody. Everybody's thrown off. He goes, who are his parents? And everyone's like, so Naja decides to hypnotize him for the first time. And she hypnotizes him, and so she's like, oh, me and Laszlo are the parents. And so they're like, well, Laszlo's like, well, that's not gonna work, because Sean knows we're not his parents, and I already told the headmaster I'm his uncle. So I hypnotize him again. Then Nandor sits down, and Sean's like, oh, good for you, Laszlo. You're okay with, like, Nandor being with Naja now. And then they literally just, the whole episode is so great. They just keep flipping everybody around. Every different kind of combination you can imagine. And then eventually, they find out, like, they're like, oh, he wants a celebrity. He's a celebrity fucker is what they call him. So they go out and come back 2 hours later with Sal from Impractical Jokers, which is a great, just random pull. Sal from Impractical Jokers. Fantastic pull. And they have him hypnotized, and he keeps interrupting Laszlo. So Laszlo snaps his freaking neck. He's like, he's annoying me. He was talking too much. And then they flip around a bunch of times more. They keep hypnotizing Sean, the headmaster, putting him in, putting him out. And you get like combinations of like a dead Sal with a skunk. You get Sal with like the baby doll Naja with big Naja, and Sean's like, what's happening right now? Like every imaginable possible combination. And the longer the episode goes on, the more distorted and just jacked up Nandor's face gets, and he has trouble sucking and he can't see anything. I can't describe it to you guys if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's so fucking funny. So basically it comes down to like, they like eventually the guy leaves, and they're like, oh well, you know, then they asked him he finally asked him a second question, a second one after how many hypnotisms. You know, you have his transcripts. And Guillermo's like pretends to be his dad, and he's like, we'll get you the transcripts tomorrow. And then our next shot is Guillermo at a park meeting up with some random dude to get transcripts, illegal transcripts for Baby Colin Robinson. He's like, all right, I'm ready for the day. I'll see you guys. The camera crew follows him. All of a sudden you see he has new jeans, new shoes. He's getting in a nice new car. He's got a gold watch on. I think he has a gold chain on too. And they follow him over to his parents' house. Well, I'm assuming it's his parents. and his parents are getting a bunch of new like washer and dryer, refrigerator unloaded the back of a truck, like brand new, which I'm assuming is into a new place as well. And he's just handing out cash, hand over fist, to these movers. And so basically he's like, oh, I thought I wrapped for the day. I hope you guys aren't seeing what you think you're seeing. And people are just like shaking their head like, yeah, we did see it. So basically Nandor, as the bookmaker, has been taking money on the side for himself, which, you know what? The crap he's been through, I completely understand. I get it. And so our last shot of the actual episode is Naja at the nightclub, and we see that she's got a whole stash of money saved up. And basically she tells him, look, if you tell anybody, I'll kill you, your friends, and when your friends show up to warn you and your friends, I'll kill their friends. So this never happened. And that's basically the end of the episode. Like, episode 5, you can pretty much wrap, I can do it in like 5 or 6 minutes like I did. So that's all we got for you guys tonight's episode. Be sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment, helps me out, helps the show out. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe on YouTube as well, helps me out there also, much appreciated. If you have any questions or topics you want me to cover, you can reach me at any major platform. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on on YouTube as well, as you know. I can also reach that email at lifeofpiecontent@gmail.com. You can also reach me there. And I do have, I'm finally have it lined up. It's something I've been talking about for like months now, it seems. Excuse me. I will be having my sister-in-law on here hoping the next 3 to 4 weeks, hopefully by the end of this month, beginning of next month, and we're going to cover Twilight. We're going to do it. We're going to cover it. Some people might be shaking their head going, why would you do that? Why? It was a pop culture phenomenon. My sister-in-law was a big fan of it. I was a big fan of it when I was in college for some reason. I have friends that are big fans of it. My mom's a big fan of it. So you know what? She has to be on it. Who am I to say no? So, if anything, you should watch it. It will be entertaining, I'm sure. So, thank you guys again so much for listening. I will talk to y'all next time. Be safe, and I hope you've enjoyed your slice of pie.